Hey, everybody, how are you? Welcome to the John Melendez podcast. And this will be the second to last show that I shall be doing. This is not Dabbleverse. I'm out of the Dabbleverse. I would like to stay out of the Dabbleverse. I have no desire to talk nonsense with these people that are way beneath me. I mean, when you leave Howard Stern, and this is the whole page of the newspaper with me, Jay, and Howard Stern. As Artie Lang once said, John, you can't be mad when two icons are fighting over you. So I don't know anybody else who had this when they left, and this is not the only article. But hey, it's pretty damn cool. The first stuttering announcer in late night history, and the first announcer of Puerto Rican and Danish descent in late night history. But we're going to speak about different people, one from South Africa, and another one whose parents was an immigrant from Scotland, and whose wife is not from this country, but apparently those illegal immigrants were okay. Because let's face it, they're a bunch of hypocrites. And now let's get to my great friends who I am always indebted to for being loyal and for doing this show and not succumbing to the morons that try to bully them from not coming on my show. And there's one thing I did want to change. So if I can, before I get started here, I don't know how to do it right now. Let me think. Okay, I'll figure it out. Oh, right there. Okay, edit name. The name is not the Duke. The name is John Melendez. There we go. And that is the name. Because, like I said, I'm out of the Dalverse. Now let me bring on the Army Major, Richard Ojeda. What's up, Richard?
What's up, my brother?
And let me bring on White House press reporter, author of the best-selling book, Free the Press, and a damn funny and talented guy. Let's say hi to Brian Karam.
Peace out. Brian. I'm there. You there? We're there.
Before we get started, let me just say that my mother just had aortic valve replacement, and she was
it's not my fault.
The first thing that she texted me when she got out, John, I'm coming home today. I'm so excited. I'm going to be able to watch your show. And please tell both Richard and Brian I said hi. So there you go.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, everyone.
How you doing, anyway, Mom? Good to see you. Oh, tough room.
I'm going to start with the shirt that I'm wearing, and I'll get your opinions. But this is the first thing that happened, is the I Stand With Ukraine shirt. I never thought in our lifetime, Brian and Richard, we would see an administration openly admit that they side with Putin and that they really bully Vladimir Zelensky, a man who fights on the ground for his people and the country that got invaded by an imperialist prick known as Vladimir Putin. Richard, you can go first.
I mean, it's sad that we have so many people that still believe everything that Donald Trump says. And he's actually convinced Americans in this country that the bad guys are the ones who were invaded, that the bad guys are the ones who are having their hospitals bombed and the apartment complexes bombed. It's absolutely sickening. And I saw some people talking about, oh, your shirt is gross. Look, if you believe that Donald Trump is not bowing down to Vladimir Putin and giving Vladimir Putin everything that he wants, then you're a moron and you don't have the capacity to actually understand what's going on. You need to stick with like who farted jokes and leave the intelligent stuff to the grown-ups.
And Brian, let me ask you something. You've been covering, so many presidents, and you interviewed everyone since Ronald Reagan. Did you find this as disgraceful as I did?
Well, that's a loaded question. How disgraceful did you find it?
Well, I was embarrassed for my country and sad for President Zelensky, who's got to sit through these cowards bullying him when he's on the ground fighting with his fucking troops.
I'll take my glasses off for that. I in 41 years of covering the White House, I've never seen anything more disrespectful of a guest than what they did to Zelensky in the White House. Never mind whether you agree with him or not. You just don't treat guests in your own home that way. And you know, anybody who's a Trump fan, I guarantee you, if you get to know them well enough, most of them wouldn't treat guests in their home that way. Most of the people who support him are far more decent than he is. It was an indecent act. It was an immoral act, and it completely ignored facts. And let's start with a few of the facts. What got this going was Trump said, last question. And then J.D. Vance decided he's going to pipe up and defend the president and say, hey, if President Trump had been in the presidency, if we hadn't lost that fake election in 2020, then this invasion never would have happened. And at that point, Zelensky asked to speak. He didn't just roll over him. He said, okay, I've heard what you say. May I say something? And then he pointed out the fact that the invasion did not occur then. The invasion occurred in February 20th, 2014, 11 years ago, when Russia invaded Crimea, which is part of Ukraine.
There you go.
So they've been fighting this war for a decade. And the reason why Trump doesn't want to mention that is because he did absolutely nothing during his first administration to fight back. So he can conveniently blame, if you really wanted to blame it on anybody, he'd go back and blame, it happened during Obama's watch, which would be, part and parcel for Donald Trump. That'd be his motive of doing, his modus operandi. But he didn't do that, because then that would bring him into question for what he did or did not do. Number one. Number two, I'm tired of seeing reporters in this briefing room, and I think his name is Brian Glenn. I remember his first name because it's mine, but the right-wing guys who all start out their questions with, gee, President Trump, you're the greatest thing since vanilla bread, and, I love watching you shoot rainbows out of your butt. Aren't you the greatest person on the planet? Oh, by the way, why are you wearing a suit? A stupid question on so many levels. Let's start out with the fact, as you pointed out, John, and Richard, as you pointed out, here's a guy fighting for his life. When he was offered an off-ramp, when the invasion spread from Crimea into the mainland of Ukraine, we said, hey, we'll give you a flight ticket out of here, give you money to come out of here, and you can fight it in absentia. And he said, screw that. Send me lawyers, guns, and money. This shit has hit the fan. So, and if you don't know the song, look it up. So he's saying he's going to stay and fight. So there's some, and at first everybody, even the Trumpers, were on board. Yeah, there's a courageous man. Now Donald Trump, is convenient in his transactional view of the world to paint him as an anti-hero. So he does so because he has sided with Vladimir Putin. He has, and that's that. Him and China, that's the axis of evil now, and we're part of it. So that was the other thing that went wrong. But finally, and at the end of the day, look, who has worn anything but a suit in there? The Saudi Arabians haven't. Yasser Arafat didn't. Winston Churchill, when he showed up during the Second World War, did not wear. He wore fatigues and not a suit. That's a stupid question, and it belittles the entire thing. I mean, what's next? What color underwear are you wearing? Hey, do you like thongs? I mean, what the fuck is that all about? It was a disrespectful all the way around in that White House, and it's disrespectful to the people to ask. And I saw this happen on Air Force One in a gaggle with supposedly the most experienced reporters. Donald Trump came out and said, Russia has all the cards, and they're going to get, well, excuse me, Germany had all the cards on Russia in World War II when they invaded. And, millions had died. They've had soldiers that have died too. So Russia, why don't you just give up what Germany has already conquered? That's bullshit. It's the same as telling us that after Pearl Harbor, you know, those brave Japanese, they really went at it. I guess we're going to have to give up Pearl Harbor. To say that Zelensky and Ukraine doesn't want peace is also disingenuous.
Yep.
They want peace. They're just not going to surrender.
Yes.
And having been there myself, I can tell you for a fact that those people would rather die than become part of Russia. And that's their sovereign right, and we should be defending those people.
And that's Europe, you know, as a whole. They don't have no love for Vladimir Putin, and they don't want to go back to the period, you know, during the Cold War where Russia controlled half of Europe. The Baltics despise Russia. Make no mistake about it. Poland they will fight, and that's what's going to happen. And everybody needs to remember that.
I hope you're wrong, Richard, because God bless it. That is World War III at that point.
It is. But
unfortunately, we'll probably put boots on the ground in favor of Russia and go after our democratic allies that we helped rebuild after World War II. It's against our own. Everything they're doing is against our own self-interest. It makes no sense. And by the way, that's what European leaders are telling. When I talk to my contacts in Europe, they go, "What is this plan? We don't see a plan." And I have to tell them, what plan? It's all transactional. What can Donald Trump get the most money out of right now for him? That's all.
But hold on, let me ask you guys something, just because the Republicans' talking point was, well, Trump asked him to wear a suit, so he was being disrespectful.
No, and that's not true.
Oh, that's not true?
He walked up. That's bullshit. First of all, A, if it were true, who the hell are you to tell me what to wear? B, he's wearing that in solidarity with his troops. That's what that's all about.
And where's all the outrage with friggin' Elon Musk wearing a damn T-shirt?
Thank you.
And a MAGA hat. A T-shirt that says
hypocrisy.
With his human shield on his shoulders. You know, but we also know that, you know, about 3 days into this war, they uncovered that Russia had plans to immediately, after they take Ukraine, to go into Moldova. And if they go into Moldova, they're going to go into Romania. They're going to go into Poland, and that's what this is going to go. Nobody has said, Vladimir Putin, what's your end state? And he don't want to say it.
But let me ask you guys, I was watching a politician go through the history of Ukraine and saying, Putin has every right to be pissed because we expanded NATO to where we promised we wouldn't, to his border. And it was our fault that we did that, and that's why he's pissed. Brian, have you heard this kind of rhetoric?
That's crap, and here's the reason why. First of all, we expanded NATO because he expanded and is trying to push against Europe. So it was in reaction to his hegemony. And by the way, if you really want to take a look, I have friends of mine still in the DOD that weren't purged, good sources I've had for years, who tell me that the reason why Russia is so threatening right now, or is so panicky, if you want to use that term, is because they've only got about a year left before they collapse. They're bringing in 12,000 North Korean troops to try and reclaim part of Kirk's region that was seized back by Ukraine. They've used Iranian weapons and help. They're using Iranian and North Korean assets to pursue a war against Ukraine. That tells you how desperate they are. Their economy is a tenth of the size of ours. They have lost and cannot replace a lot of the hardware and manpower that they've lost in this war against Ukraine. So my DOD sources say, if we hold on for a year, and if we're able to kick this, they don't like what Donald Trump's doing, but if he does strike a deal with Zelensky for rare earths, and they kick the can down the hall, or down the field for a year, then this could easily end itself, because Russia will have to come to the bargaining table, and they will in effect have to surrender because they do not have the economy. This exception that we treat Russia with, I don't get it. It's like, they're exceptional. They're Russia. Well, screw them. They're just bullies. Thump them in the nose and tell them to go home.
Trump is in their pockets, and we know that.
Yes,
Isn't Krasnov his fucking
Yes, yeah. But see, everything that Donald Trump is saying is we're going to give Vladimir Putin everything that they want, and they're going to give us a deal to go get $500 million worth of rare minerals. What does Ukraine get out of this? What do they get? They get nothing. They lose everything. They lose their democracy. They fall under friggin' Russian rule. All their resources and everything goes everywhere except to where it needs to go for them. And once again, this is Donald Trump giving his buddy, who probably has P tapes and shit like that, on friggin' Donald Trump everything that Putin wants.
Let me ask you guys, and just to change the subject for a second, I knew this was imminent. And I predicted this, and I'm sure both of you gentlemen did as well. Now that the economy is tanking, I knew it was only a matter of time before Trump supporters point the finger at Joe Biden.
Of course.
And now, Brian, Richard, and I know, just much like Obama, Biden left Trump a robust economy. Unemployment was at its lowest rates. And what again does Trump do? He fucking torpedoes it.
Listen. Look, I will even give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt and say that a big reason why he crashed Obama's economy is because COVID, and of course we know that he jacked up the response. Yeah. But 6 weeks into his presidency, he took the greatest economy of all time, an economy that was helping other countries stabilize themselves. That's how good our economy was, and he has killed it. I mean, inflation, recession, these are words everybody needs to start friggin' learning, because that's what reality is under Donald Trump. Everything that he promised was absolute bullshit. He told you, dumbasses, what he knew that you wanted to hear, and now some of you dumbasses are still refusing to accept the fact that you are a dumbass. So now you're changing your talking points to, oh my gosh, Zelensky's evil. This is a man who is fighting for his country's survival. This isn't a man who daggone he didn't load up millions of dollars and flee. He stayed right there. He's on the front line, and he's showing what real leadership is. Putin is a friggin' enemy of the people, and that's no matter where you're at. And Donald Trump is an absolute sycophant of daggone Vladimir Putin.
And there are those in the DOD who told me that, they used to think that Trump was just a useful fool for Russia. And now there are even those in the DOD who are questioning whether or not he is actually an actual asset of Russia after the statements in the United Nations by our delegation about refusing to back up the condemnation of Russia for invading Ukraine, and for the absolutely foolhardy, foolish, and disingenuous claim that somehow Ukraine is responsible for this war. At the same time, you're right, John, they've ginned up, and we all know this is going to happen. He's going to blame in descending order. It's going to be Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, the Democrats, the fake media, and maybe, I don't know, warts. Maybe he's genital warts. He'll blame anything but himself for whatever happens. The economy he inherited was solid. The underpinning to the economy, the thing that enabled him to scream about the economy, was one of the things that wasn't following with the strong. And by the way, the strong economy, just to interject, is simply because after COVID, it was Joe Biden's administration that passed $1 trillion infrastructure bill that put people to work and reinvested in America. Now, the Republicans would have you believe that led to only 6 EV stations somewhere in the middle of Los Angeles, when in fact there is not. If you look around, and I've driven around and been around this country, all 50 states during the campaign, and I can tell you that there is construction in every state, and it's due to that infrastructure. Construction is due to that bill that passed. The underpinning that they have scored on is the price of eggs. And he said immediately when he became, when he got in office, eggs would go down. Well, they haven't, of course. Eggs have gone up as other prices have. He's going to blame Obama for as long as he can. And the fact of the matter is, do not expect Donald Trump to ever take any responsibility for any of his actions. He will blame everyone else for as long as he can until the day he dies, which I predict will be on the back 9 at Mar-a-Lago as he shanks one in off the off the tee, probably on hole 8 or 9, and it'll go into the woods, and he'll hit the ground at the same time the ball hits the tree off in the woods.
As I have stated before, the only time the Republicans give a shit about eggs is when it's inside a woman's body, because that's the only time they care about eggs. This whole egg bullshit was bullshit from the beginning. The prices went up on the Biden, not because of Biden's economy, because of the avian flu. That's a fact, Jack. I don't. And these assholes,
to your point, John, do you know what the Secretary of Health, Education, and Welfare said the other day was, "Hey, just grow some chickens. You can get your own eggs." I wonder how that's going to work out for you in an apartment in Midtown Manhattan. But you go ahead.
and now let me, like, both of you. I mean, all of us are way smarter than this fucking imbecile. But how does he
have
think?
Socks that have more DNA in them than these guys?
But guys, how does he think that tariffs are going to somehow help the American consumer? I mean, it's basic math.
It's not. But oh, by the way, he threatens tariffs and then pulls back and says next month we'll kick him in there. We're going to hear that for the rest of his damn presidency. The next month.
I think Richard is right. He's going to play a game of tariff chicken.
Yeah,
talking about chickens. He's going to play chicken with tariffs for the remainder of however long he lasts. Look, we're at day 49. This is just day 49. 7 weeks. My birthday is on day 50. Woohoo! That halfway through the first 100 days. And I'm telling you, I don't recognize the United States. I don't know where we are at the end of 100 days, but Donald Trump is increasingly, delusional. His administration is increasingly off the charts. And I just don't see how there isn't some blowback that's pretty consequential before the end of the first year.
Let me tell you a little story, and this happened 2 days ago. I was driving to another county in North Carolina, and all of a sudden my phone rang, and I answered it, and all I heard was, "You were right. He's an idiot." So this was somebody that I actually blocked on social media because I actually used to communicate with this person because I travel often and they like to travel, and they would always ask me about travel questions and stuff. And when I saw that right before the election, I saw that she had started posting stuff like, he's going to make America great again. I thought to myself, my gosh, I can't believe that she's that way. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to watch somebody that I've been friends with for quite some time go down this path. I'm going to just remove her. And hopefully one of these days she comes back. Well, that was her. You were right. He's an idiot. Let me tell you then too. Yesterday, I was at an event in North Carolina for Ukraine. And I bet you I ran into at least 10 people that come up to me and told me that they were Republicans and that they completely have walked away from Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. Now, let me... First of all,
why now? What's new that you did? What opened your eyes?
I agree. I agree. But listen, I agree. But here's the thing. I agree with what you're saying. But every single person that wakes up, we need to start.
I agree with
back into the fold.
Yes,
I absolutely agree with that.
We're going to need these Trump voters who are now going to be voting Democrat again to be able to beat these friggin' assholes in Washington D.C.
Brian, is it your birthday tomorrow?
Yeah.
All right. Happy birthday, Brian Karam. Woo-hoo. It's my mom's birthday on Wednesday. You see, good people, they share this very close, very similar birthdays. Look at that.
My mother's is on the 17th. My sister's is on the 21st. All I can say is everybody born in March, June was a very good month for your parents.
Hold on, Brian. I have to do this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brian. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, my nipples are hard. Do it again. I love it. All right.
So I got to tell you that this is how, and Brian and Richard, both of you guys agree, Democrats are bad at fucking telling people what they're doing. They're the worst fucking
fighting
people.
back.
They don't fight back. They don't fight back. They don't communicate well.
They don't
Look,
communicate well. But Brian, let me give you an example of this. I'm sitting at the bar, as everybody knows, this is one of my favorite places to go. And I'm sitting at the bar, and some guys indulge in an argument. And he says, well, thank God for this. First, he says, well, thank God we have cars here in America. Thank God we're building cars. And I said, well, you can thank Obama for that. He goes, you're a moron. That's ridiculous. I go, no, it's not. I have it right here on my phone because I knew you were going to say that. And then he goes, well, they didn't bail out Ford. I go, well, they offered it. Ford didn't want it. That's why I own a Ford. Okay, great. And then I said, well, by the way, all my stock in Ford is tanking. That's besides the point. Then, Brian, to your point, then he starts going, well, thank God for this infrastructure. It's really boosted our economy. And I said, well, that's thanks to Joe Biden. He goes, you're a fucking moron. Don't sit next to me anymore. They can't handle the truth. They don't realize this infrastructure bill is actually Joe Biden's doing.
Oh, by the way, but Donald Trump has halted all of that when he took back over. West Virginia alone lost between $6 and $8 billion because that was money that was still available for the infrastructure. Donald Trump and Elon Musk and them took all that away so they could, once again, give it to the people at the top. Hey, let me say something real quick, and this to give you guys an idea. We have roughly 810 billionaires in the United States of America. If you all who are listening to us right now, just think about the budget bill that the Republicans not only pushed, but preyed upon after it passed the House. What
in
they
a very
did
public display of
in
praise.
a very public display of praying. But what they did was they shit on 340,099,872 Americans, all so that they can push a shit ton of money to 810 people that are billionaires.
11 of whom work for Donald Trump in the cabinet or on his staff. Think of
Exactly.
that. 11 billionaires.
I just wanted to put this up because this is true. The only 3 presidents in 50 years to reduce the deficit. That is a fact, Jack. But why do they hate us Democrats so much, Brian? I know you're not a Democrat, but why do they hate the Democrats so much?
It boils down to this. No matter how low the Republicans place the bar, the Democrats can't crawl over it. They allow the Republicans to frame the argument. They do not argue outside of the frame of which the Republicans erect. There's an erection for you. Oh, I'm telling you, a tough room. And so the problem is when you argue, when you let someone set the boundaries for the argument and you argue within their framework, you're going to always lose because they've set the frame for you. The fact of the matter is that one of the biggest problems that the Democrats have that I see, Donald Trump was very successful because he went out and he listened to his audience. What is it that they want? They want the border wall and all that immigration. Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about immigration. He was in Arizona, and I think I was there at the rally when somebody said something about immigration, and it got a huge cheer. And he goes, "Oh, there's my issue." So he listens and he grifts from what he hears. The Democrats are very good at telling you what it is that's supposed to be good for you, but without listening to people. That's where they lose people, is they don't listen. The best Democrats, the ones that get elected time and again, are those who listen to their constituents and are true to their constituents. The Republicans are very good at listening and then grifting. They can't govern worth shit. They're fighting with each other over a goddamn bill, over funding the government. They have the majority in the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, the executive branch. They own all of, hey, guess what? They own the county center now. So, the comedy and the Mark Twain comedy, they're trying to, the NFL, soccer, they're trying to corner the market and everything. And they can't agree with each other on how to govern. So what the Democrats do very well is govern. What they do very poorly is listen to their constituents. They may be right, and they are on a majority of issues. As you know, I have a friend of mine who's a Democrat. He goes, "I don't understand this." He goes, "The opposition wants to kill me. All I want for them is to have health care." Now, I go, "Well, why in the fuck don't you say that? Why are you telling me that? Why aren't you saying that when you run for office?
Yep.
That's something that can appeal to people. You know what? The enemies, and we're not enemies. That's the other thing. We're all Americans. Those who oppose what I stand for, I'd love to hear a politician say this. Those who oppose what I stand for want me dead. I just want them to have health care.
Yes.
Let's work together.
And let me ask you, Brian.
I'll write your speeches, Richard. I'll write your speech.
Brian, why? Here is this is a protest in Chicago today. And my question, I mean, there are fucking shit ton of people there. And my question for you, Brian, is why the fuck doesn't mainstream media report on this? Where are all the images? Where are all the videos? This is going on in countries around the world. Why are our news networks not showing this shit? Why does it take Stuttering John to fucking do it?
Where's the money in it? Look, all of them you are seeing you're not there. So, all right. In point of fact, you're showing a piece of video, so it is being seen. Is it being seen by enough people? That's the argument you can make. Is it leading the networks?
No.
Should it lead the networks?
Yeah.
What's behind it? What is the basis? Why are they gathered? What's the protest? Who are they? What are they talking about? Those things need to be asked by reporters. Those things need to be done. Those reports need to be filed. But when you have Jeff Bezos and the others who have already given fealty to Donald Trump, there's not going to be a whole lot of pushback in showing that stuff on the air because it angers Donald Trump. Why do you think he's limiting the number of people who see him in the Oval? He doesn't want to see anybody asking him a question he can't answer. He doesn't want anyone giving him grief. I mean, you know, he walked in again during the middle of a gaggle on Air Force One recently to veteran reporters and interrupted himself to say, "Did you see the speech I made? It was a great speech, wasn't it?" "Yes, it was a great speech." So he stops to compliment himself about his speech, doesn't even take a question that was asked, and then pivots to something that he wants to talk about how Russia has all the cards. So all I can tell you is it's not exactly what I would report on. But then again, I believe in news, not in propaganda.
Guys, this is something that really bothers me. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert heckled Joe Biden 4 fucking speeches. Why is it that when this Green protests, he gets punished, he gets censored? Why, both of you guys, maybe you have a reason, an intelligent reason, why the fuck does the Democrat, who happens to be African-American, he gets punished, but not the fucking 2 white women? What's it?
Richard?
Well, John, I'm gonna say something here, and a lot of people that are listening, you may be shocked. They're racist. have you seen the chair, the Joint Chiefs of Staff? They fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Now, they didn't just fire anybody on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, a man who had 40 years of military service, was a fighter pilot. Shattered friggin' records throughout his career, and they get rid of him because he's a black man. They got rid of who else on the chairman of on the Joint Chiefs of Staff? Well, who is
a white woman?
A white woman. They also got rid of a 3-star general in the Marine Corps that was a woman of color. They're not even trying to hide it. They're blatantly racist. And let me tell you something.
I'm proud of it.
And some of the reasons why a lot of Trump supporters, even though they're losing their livelihoods, are still holding on to Donald Trump is because they're just as racist as he is.
Oh, why are the Democrats censoring?
Listen to me. Listen, John. Here's the problem. Is the Democrats fucking once again show up to a fucking fist fight carrying a friggin' pillow, and the Republicans show up wearing brass knuckles.
They showed up wearing bingo cards. The only one I like was the woman I forget who it was, who had a dry erase board so she could write her protest. Yeah,
this is obviously a Trump loser. I love Democrats, so soft on crime. Not really.
It was Congressman Tlaib, I'm sorry, who showed up with the dry erase board. But to your point, John, and
We are not soft on crime.
no, well, Richard nailed the big problem, the racism, but take it a step further. What happens when the Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the presidency? It's happened before. There is a flip. The dangerous precedents that are being set now that have removed all decorum and all behavior that we have built 200 years into the system has been flushed. I will laugh my ass off the first time Marjorie Taylor Greene or someone of her ilk is censured in the House, and they absolutely have a shit fit about it in the Republican Party. What are you going to do? You're going to go back and go, hey, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You know that shit's coming. If you can see down the hall, even to the next door, that's what's going to happen.
All right, let me just say, Florida girl, I have a feeling that you're using one of my guest, family members in your avatar. So I'm not going to put it up again. But you said Trump loves Putin and hates USA. It's that simple. I agree. Now, Vegas Beer Salts Jerry is a good person and a friend of mine. So I'm sure I don't even have to pre-read it. Are there any Reagan Republicans left who think Russia is an adversary?
Yeah, Mitch McConnell, but he's he's suffering, his own victory. Be careful what you wish for, Mitch. You built this GOP. You got it. You own it, Toyota.
And again, somebody's trying to use one of your family members. I will not post that. And I'm not posting anything from the lawyer who happens to be a weirdo. I am Dr. Remulak. I'll always post him because he's dear to my heart. And then, Brian, let me ask you and Richard. Now, we talked about, and Richard, you said because they're racist. Guess what? They're also anti-gay. So this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. Pete Hegseth has ordered to remove all photographs of the B-29 bomber Enola Gay because of the word gay. Now, what's next? TransUnion? What's next? Queer as folk? What's next? Fucking Matt Gay?
They already went after transgender mice that don't exist.
What's next? Homogenized milk? What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, but listen, I mean, look what Brian just said. That during the State of the Union address, Donald Trump, who doesn't understand what transgenic means, said that millions of dollars are being used to turn mice transgender. All of you Trump supporters, what do you think of that? That's the stupidity of this guy. And first and foremost, if that's your State of the Union speech, that of course he didn't write, at a minimum, he should have went over it and then asked questions. What does this mean? Does this mean that they're turning mice transgender? But once again, he's not smart enough to do that. And he's too proud to actually admit that he may not know something. And by doing that, he sticks his foot in his mouth all the time and looks like an absolute buffoon. Yep.
But he triggers himself for his supporters who cheer it. The same as they cheered the fact that there are 300-year-olds getting Social Security, which is a freaking base lie. Look, Social Security did not come into existence till 1935. So if you're 100 years old when you first got on Social Security, the oldest you could be and still be getting a check is 190. That ain't happening either.
Yep.
What they did, they continue to lie. They double down on the lie that they know is a lie. And they know it's a lie because they've admitted it's a lie in the White House. What happened was in 2023, in going over it, this isn't even anything Doge found, although they're taking credit for it. In 2023, in a routine audit, the inspector generals, by the way, who he's fired, went over the paperwork and his Social Security and said, hey, guys, some of these people that I see numbers here like 300 million. There's only like 65 million on Social Security. What's going on? And they found out that after people died, they stopped getting their checks because when you die, they send in a form and they stopped sending the check. But they didn't take them off the rolls. So basically, it was a glitch in their bookkeeping. They still had people that had died on the rolls. Those people weren't getting checks, but what they were still on the rolls. They knew that. It's been reported for the last 2 years. Donald Trump took a majority, and Richard's right, man. They went right to it during his State of the Union address, lying, doubling down on the lie, and just preaching to. That was a speech. That was a pep rally. That was a MAGA pep rally. That wasn't a State of the Union.
And by the way, I
address.
was corrected on this. It wasn't the State of the Union. It was the address to the joint sessions of Congress.
Because you don't have a State of the Union until you've been in office for a full year. It was a State of the Union address. You don't call it a State of the Union address because he hasn't been. And by the way,
so you can call it a State of the Union.
Yes, but here's the deal.
Well,
he could have accomplished that same speech in 4 social media posts. The Democrats suck. I'm great. I feel sorry for these people. I made their life better. MAGA. That's it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You know, all these people are like, I can't believe the Democrats didn't stand for a child cancer. Hey, understand that before the State of the Union, they've already killed child cancer research.
Exactly.
So it's like the stuff that they do. They're like, oh, I can't believe the Democrats didn't stand for that child. Well, maybe the Democrats are pissed because your damn party killed child cancer research.
And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that because I have a friend in Canada, and he was saying to me how ugly the Dems couldn't stand. And I said, you know what? I'm sure there's a reason for it. I don't know it yet, but I know I'm going to find out why. And I did the research, and I found out why. Just what you just said.
It's hard to cheer hypocrisy. Look, I think every human being feels for that 13-year-old kid, and I love the fact that he's made a Secret Service, an honorary Secret Service member, and all that kind of stuff. And the other one's getting into Harvard. Yeah, Mazel tov. That's great. I love it. But the idea that you're going to take credit for that when you've killed the very research that saved their lives is a hard one for many people to swallow. Yes. For example, the transgenic mice that he thinks I just picture these scientists going, I don't want to date that mouse. Let's turn it into a male and I'm a pedophile with mice. I mean, what the fuck is that? The bottom line is transgenic research. You graft DNA into a mouse that resembles human DNA. So when you test these cancer medicines and other medicines, you get a reaction, a scientific reaction that tells you whether or not it would be effective on human beings.
So
that's what transgenic research is.
It doesn't mean
it's 8th grade. It's 8th grade
mean
science.
That Willard.
Yes, 8th grade science. Thank you, Richard. 2 years more than they got.
It doesn't mean that Willard is now Gillard.
That's and I'm going out for a bottle of Prosecco with him later.
By the way, now Jimmy Stewart, a member for 11 months. Brian Caron meets with Puerto Ricans and Danes too.
But here's another thing too. What all of you Trump supporters? What do you think about the 6,000 plus jobs that they've removed from the Veterans Administration,
80,000.
and now another 80,000 that they're going for? So if you have anybody in your family that's a veteran, this is going to affect them greatly. And oh, by the way, is this how you make America great again? By stabbing veterans in the back, by killing care in the community, by doing everything that's going to make, by shutting down the small PACs, which are the small clinics, so that you don't have to drive 2.5 to 3 hours to the actual VA hospital. They're going to shut all of those things down. And oh, by the way, 1 in every 3 veterans, 1 in every 3 people that work at the Veterans Administration is a veteran. So yeah, congratulations. You guys are on the side that's all about sticking us in the damn back.
That's right. Donald Trump has fired more vets than any other president in history. Oh, but he cares about the military. You mean the losers and suckers?
Yeah.
That military?
Well, here's the thing about that. Most of the things he's killing are in rural America. Who voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump? Rural America. There's a study out by the Medill School of Journalism, Northwest University, that shows that, and it was written, this article was written by Paul Ferry, who used to be with the Washington Post and covered the media. There are 45% of the counties in the United States that don't have local coverage. 91% of those counties without local news voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump, many of them in a landslide, by the beliefs that were, because what they believe is what they heard nationwide about he's going to help veterans, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Then all of this stuff has been slashed, and what's coming home to roost for these people is that they understand they've been lied to, and there was no local media to tell them to begin with. So the problem in the United States, those people who voted against their own self-interests unknowingly or knowingly are now suffering the direct effects of Donald Trump, and it's only going to get worse. Those who cheer that the government is getting smaller, I will point you in the direction of the Department of Education and the Department of Health and Human Services, and those people who had those cabinet posts up say, I want to reduce government, but I've just been on the job less than a month. Give me a chance to evaluate who needs to go and why. Don't come in with a sledgehammer and clear out the underbrush because you're destroying the fabric of government. Weather Service, gone. You talk about health, gone. You talk
education.
There is a wet education gone. Well, they
Department
don't.
of Education. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, you can't spell education, so why do you care? And then that's their anyway. They can't spell education. Why do they? And then today it was reported that a website that reports internationally where famines are is gone dark because of cuts by Donald Trump. This hurts us. USAIDs hurts us. Here's why those programs are important, particularly the overseas programs. They build brotherhood, camaraderie, and intelligence. When you're getting food and health and services from the United States, you're more inclined to see us as that bright spot on the hill. When you cut it out and China comes in, you've bought their loyalty. China has bought their loyalty. And by the way, you also want boots on the ground in these nations because you want intel. You want serviceable, accurate intelligence. They have cut all of that out. This only helps out China and Russia.
When we deployed to Haiti for the earthquake, a lot of us had no clue that there were other countries that were already down there doing things, humanitarian stuff. And I'm talking from Jordan, from India, from France. But when we got down there right after the earthquake happened, the one thing that we saw, I was standing in downtown Port-au-Prince, and somebody had wrote on a wall, well, we don't want the French, only the USA.
Yes.
And that was because the USA had showed up and we were clearing lines of communication. We were bringing health care to these people. We were bringing water, food. We were busting our butts to help these people out. And that's why,
In northern Iraq during the first Gulf War, I saw the same thing, pro-American graffiti. Welcome the U.S. And there were people
that's all changed.
And there were people that were screaming about Saddam Hussein, and they were inviting us into their home to cook us a meal because we were from the United States. They valued our friendship. You're right, John. That's all changed.
Play the shrimp. Why does Trump want to privatize the United States Postal Service?
It's part of election rigging. It's part of doing everything in their power to make sure people that vote by mail don't get a say. They know that, they look at certain groups of people and think that that's the groups that use the mail the most, and it doesn't go in their favor, so they kill it. If everybody who voted by mail voted for Donald Trump, make no mistake about it, they would do everything in their power to do everything for the Postal Service.
Our vertical line, thanks for the tenor. Hey, Brian, why is no one saying Trump is our American Hitler? He is obviously speaking to Putin privately and said, I will help you out. He is infatuated with Putin. We need to take them both out. Help.
Where you been? I mean, we've been calling daggone Trump our Hitler for 8 years. Saying 8 years, eight plus.
Yes.
So,
Grandma
that ship sailed.
Grandma Zaccardi, I want to congratulate the Midas Touch Brothers. I love them. For Sebastian Rogan's reason, I don't know what that means. And for never inviting John back on the show. First of all, I never did their show. They did mine. In fact, they one of them came on my show my last birthday to wish me happy birthday. I was the first show to have them on. I'm proud of that. I love them. I wish them well. Thank you.
They actually have overtaken Joe Rogan in terms of viewers. So yeah, I mean it's good because once again, at least we got Joe Rogan, who I don't think is the worst of the worst, but he spews a lot of friggin' nonsense and bullshit to the Trump base.
QWERTY 281, thanks for the tenor. You guys lost in majority. We don't really. I don't even buy that. Popular vote won. Congress went red, and the entire country shifted red. Your ideas stink, and everything Dems do now is corny. You're spoken the Obama era is over.
Wrong.
You're one of the idiots that are getting fucked, dude.
Yeah. Hey, more people chose to not even vote in this election than voted for Donald Trump. So that right there is something. Okay, number one. Number two, absolute full of shit. I cannot believe that people are still literally supporting this garbage. When are you going to wake up? I'm thinking that you, with what you just said, you probably still live in your mother's basement because obviously it's not affecting you grocery wise because maybe your parents are paying for your groceries. But make no mistake about it, our country is falling down. It's on fire because of that asshole in the Oval Office.
I think they're probably still in middle school. The fact of the matter is, when you have in this country, when you consider 60% voter turnout good, I will remind you that that means 30% of the people in the United States plus one can determine what the other 70% do. That's what occurred in this election. Richard's right. The problem is not that Donald Trump is a majority. He is a super minority. And my hat's off to MAGA members for this one thing. And I do admire this, their tenacity to vote. I love the way they fight. I love the fact that they fight. The Democrats don't. That's the problem with the Democrats. And the other problem is Donald Trump.
Except for me, the other major, of course.
Yeah. Donald Trump often uses this trope, the silent majority, which was coined by Richard Nixon. Donald Trump doesn't represent the silent majority. The silent majority of Americans are you fat, lazy cocksuckers who don't vote. Get off your fat ass and vote. I don't care who you vote for. I care that you vote.
Yep.
I care that you are educated, you are aware, and you are involved. And I don't mean just vote. I mean, you need to be involved in phone banks. You need to take the elderly to vote. You need to show up at voting places and volunteer to help. You need to be involved. A democracy, and don't give me this shit about a republic. If you want to pick Nicks, bend over, I'll raw dog you. The bottom line is, if you want this government to work, you have to be involved in it, and you're not, and that's the majority. So if Donald Trump thinks he has a majority, and if the MAGA members think they have a majority, I will cheer them for voting and once again remind them of how fucking ignorant they are of math, because they can't add. There is no supermajority. There is no mandate. There are simply you stupid motherfuckers who didn't vote and you stupid motherfuckers who did and didn't know you were stupid motherfuckers when you were stupid motherfuckingly voting.
And a lot of you all are waking up every day. The only ones that are still holding on are the mind-numbingly stupid ones.
I'm sure my mom is laughing right now at Mr. Karen because Mr. Karen, that was brilliant. Now, I hate to play. Well, I actually take that back. I don't hate to play this, but Army Major, I want to play you another vet who was really pissed off. Okay. And so please, this is really saddening. But here we go. Have you seen this, Army Major?
Yeah.
They're slashing staff, crushing unions, and selling out the VA for what? So billionaires can make more money while veterans sit on wait lists. Worse, they'll get no treatment. Our president was asleep while Musk was at the wheel. Do you know what happens to a serviceman when they fall asleep when they're on duty?
They die.
Veterans don't trust him. He's not one of us.
So that was Eric Rodriguez. He's a veteran of the war in Iraq. He was reacting to the news that the Trump administration is cutting thousands of jobs from the Department of Veterans Affairs. On that, the AP reports this, quote, "The Department of Veterans Affairs is planning a reorganization that includes cutting more than 80,000 jobs." Wow, 80,000 jobs from the agency that provides health care for retired military members. The VA's chief of staff told top-level officials at the agency Tuesday that it had an objective to cut enough employees to return to 2019 staffing levels of just under 400,000. That would require terminating tens of thousands of employees after the VA had expanded during the Biden administration, as well as to cover veterans impacted by burn pits. For some veterans, that means not just worrying about what this means for their health care and their family's health care. They could also lose their jobs entirely. More than 25% of the VA's staff and workforce is made up of veterans.
I mean, Army Major, how does that make you fucking feel, bro?
That's a slap in the face. I mean, and once again, 1 out of every 3 people that work for the Veterans Administration is actually a veteran. They're going after our health care. They're going to shut down care in the community. It's going to be extremely hard for people to get dental appointments and things like that. And, I kind of feel like I'm going to go back to where it was when I was living in West Virginia, where before they put up a small clinic about 10 minutes from where I lived, I used to have to take off a day of work and drive 2 hours to the VA hospital and then 2 hours back home. And that was even just to draw blood. You know how long it takes to draw blood? 5 minutes maybe. But I had to take a whole day off of work and drive for 4 hours in a car to get there and back. That's where we're going to get back to, and it's not a good place, especially for the elderly people, that's going to have to travel for long distances. It's unacceptable. But this right here just tells us, it shows us they don't give a shit. We know Donald Trump doesn't care about veterans. We know all too often where we were told that, Donald Trump wanted to have a parade, but he didn't want any disabled veterans because nobody wants to see those people. He hugs the guy who sang a song from a wheelchair and said, "We love you," and then turned and looked at Millie and said, "Don't ever bring a guy like that here again." Nobody wants to see that. They resent veterans because we're braver, because we show courage. We know what courage is, and they don't. That's just what this is. They're jealous of us. They want to try to act like they give a shit, but behind the scenes, they'll do everything they can to hurt our capabilities. And the veterans ain't gonna put up with your bullshit much longer.
I have a friend of mine who is suffered PTSD after the Gulf War. Like you, he had to drive up to 2 hours just to get his therapy, and it's been canceled. And he said it was bad enough when I was driving 2 hours. I felt more PTSD coming back from the therapy session just because it took me 2 hours to get there, and I'd sit for a half hour, 45 minutes, and then have to face that drive back. He said, but as bad as that was, now I've got nothing. What do they expect from me when I've given my all and they give me nothing? That's the question. And it goes back to, remember Hoovervilles and they had, who was it? They had a General MacArthur, actually, I believe it was, that had to break up the veterans that were camping out in the National Mall, the World War I veterans that were camping out in the National Mall that our government did nothing for during the Great Depression. We always shortchange those who make the ultimate sacrifice for our country. It is loathsome, it is intolerable, and it has to stop.
They actually targeted the daggone health, the suicide hotline.
Yeah.
So is that going to lower suicides from 22 a day to 0? Or is it going to increase it when you kill the freaking suicide hotline?
But if you kill the suicide hotline and kill those veterans, you don't have to pay for their health care.
Hey, guys, I just want to play one more clip because this really broke my heart. I mean, Major, I'm sure you've seen this. Brian, have you seen this?
Yes.
This is so sad. So I think everybody should see this. If you were okay with Donald Trump after watching this, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you.
I am so upset that the things we did and the things we fought for and the boys that died for it, it's all gone down the drain. Our country's gone to hell in a handbasket. We haven't got the country we had when I was raised. Not at all. Nobody will have the fun I had. Nobody will have the opportunity I had. It's just not the same. That's not what our boys, that's not what they died for. It's just not it. Just takes me time to get over it. Because why me sitting here like this? See, I am so upset.
I mean, if that doesn't break your heart, I don't know what would.
Was that a Marine? It looked like a Marine dress uniform.
Oh, I just turned it off. I wasn't sure. Army Major, was that a Marine?
I'm pretty. Yeah, it was a Marine.
Yeah, that's a Marine, folks. A Marine.
But why do the vets vote for these freaking creeps? Like, what happens in their minds? They think Donald Trump gives a fuck about them.
Listen, it's only going to get worse. And the reason for that is because a lot of these people drink from the same fountains. You know, when Donald Trump took over in this new presidency, what was one of the first things that he did? He killed all of the news media on every military base in the world that has troops on it, and replace the media with Fox, Newsmax, and OAN. So it's only going to get worse. This is part of their plan, is to poison the minds of people, to make them think that the Democrats are absolutely horrible because they want you to be able to afford your life-saving medication. And that's what they're doing right now. And it's going to, this is part of the last 50 years where they killed the fairness doctrine, which I think needs to be brought back, and we now have organizations that are spewing pure garbage.
Well,
Field Director, have either of you three considered Ukraine Foreign Legion? Would be cool to show support for Ukraine at the front lines, especially Ojeda with his wisdom. As Richard told us, we would get in the way. Isn't that correct?
Look, first and foremost, I think this guy's actually full of shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's full of shit. No, this one here. I looked at this. You guys think it's a coincidence the second Lindsey Graham stopped conditionally supporting Zelensky? That reports came out that he was first. No, everybody has known about daggone Lindsey Graham for quite some time. What come out, the way Lindsey Graham was outed was male escorts, when they realized that signing a friggin' non-disclosure agreement for prostitution doesn't count because it's illegal. You can't tell somebody they have to sign an NDA for an illegal act. And basically, they come out and said that Lindsey Graham was one of the biggest users of male escorts. Go figure. I mean, I think everybody knew that anyway.
Dave Sauer, thanks for 5. A great seeing Karam and Hal at the Comedy Chateau. You guys going to do any more of those types of shows?
Yes, we are. We plan to put a First Amendment tour on the road and talking with people across the country about the confluence of entertainment, the press, and First Amendment.
And how'd that show go, Brian?
Went really well. I was very happy with it. Tom was. That will be. By the way, that show will be published as a standalone next week, and then it is also going to be part of our documentary that I'm now efforting to get done. The first two, and here's my shameless plug. It's called 100 Days of Chaos.
We're almost done here, so it's okay.
The first 100 days of the Donald Trump administration, and those 100 Days of Chaos will be dropping. We have signed, or we are in the process of signing an exclusive agreement for distribution with the Midas Touch network. And the first 2 episodes of that will drop July 4th. That will be the pre-inaugural section. And, of course, the first free speech section. It'll be an 8 to 10 episode documentary series.
Did you do any stand-up, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I can't wait to see it. Is this true?
Tough room.
Did Marjorie Taylor Greene say that Al Green was a werewolf? Is that true?
I wouldn't surprise me. I mean, she's a friggin' moron, so yeah, probably.
Look, there's repeating anything that she says is like trying to imitate a dog barking. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys, I love
wolf. No, she said bark. Who gives a shit?
We do have a lot more to cover, but we'll do it next week, and that'll be my last show for quite a while. As you can see, I didn't put up any jackaloons, as you guys say. I try, and I'm not going to. So
it's a good conversation. I always enjoy it, John. Yeah. And Richard is always great to be on the same show with you, Richard.
So Army Major, plug whatever you want.
Well, I do my Ojeda Live every night, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook. I'm hoping that by April or May, I will be able to send both of you autographed books.
Nice.
It's in the editing process right now. It's We Are Worthy, The Fight for the Forgotten.
I love it. I didn't know you were writing a book, Army Major.
Yeah, it's focusing on, it's like every chapter is a different group of people that have been kind of left out. Teachers, veterans, the addicted, prisoners, things like that. So I'm pretty pumped about it. I'm hoping, I think it'll do well. So it is what it is. I mean, I just do it because I think people need to hear things. So
and when is the release?
We're looking at probably April, May of trying to link up with. We've got a few people that are potentially talking about publishing the book. So it's a work in progress, but we'll get it done.
All right. And Brian, I know you always have the longer plug. So here we go. Brian, plug whatever you want.
The name of the podcast is called Just Ask the Question. We do a weekly show called Just Ask the Press where we review the news. We also do a reverse shot once a week where we turn the camera around and make fun and point out the foibles of the press. The name of the book is called Free the Press, wherever fine books are sold. You can catch me at Salon once or twice a week. And of course, coming up in July, the big thing, the 100 Days of Chaos, the new Donald Trump administration.
Major, my mom just texted me. She said, could she please get that book, a signed copy of that book?
Of course, without a doubt.
Mom, are you kidding? Hey, I wish your mom well in recovering from surgery. I hope she's okay. We love her to death. We're glad she's here listening.
Yeah. She was so funny because she said, bro, I could, because, they don't go through the chest anymore.
No, they don't.
So they were supposed to go through the belly. And she goes, they said my belly was too small. That's a first. But so they went through her neck, but it was a successful operation. So I'm very happy that she's still with us. I love my mother. I love my mother very dearly. But thank you guys for coming on.
Always, man. See you next week.
All right, I'll see you.
Bye.
All right, the great Army Major Richard Ojeda and the great Brian Karam on the political show today. I want to thank them, and I'll just hit a few of the super chats. None of the ones that are stupid, but if there's anything that I missed, I'm not posting anything with people's pictures. Nothing from Dwarfy, because he uses my name to promote his show every single time, and then accuses me of driving drunk, and which I might have to do another ethics complaint against. Let's see. Funeral director. Think your bike will beat my Stang, brother? No, I'm a cruiser. I cruise, that's it. And by the way, a Mustang would kick the shit out of a fucking 2005 Heritage. Lala, I'm not reading that. Field director, sorry. And so is, I can't, well, forget it. We did that. Let's see. Oh, you mean get over it like Trump did after he lost? You mean that kind of get over it? You mean like causing an insurrection, you dumb fuck? See. Not reading that. Not reading that. And then, yes, this is true. Yes, she had a Vince tattoo and a JD tattoo. She is a loon. Anyway, everybody, thank you for watching. And I'll be back here for one last show of the political show next Sunday. And then you won't see me anymore. So I had a great time. I think Trump is an idiot. And I think you are all slowly going to realize it. In fact, I was talking to a girl. And I'll end with this. It was very sad. She told me that she needs her Medicaid to pay for all of her medications. If she doesn't get them because she's bipolar, she's got all these different disorders. If she does not get them, she said she'll die. And these are the cuts that this administration is doing. So eventually it'll affect maybe not you, but it will certainly adversely affect a family member or friend. And you have yourselves to blame for it. Those that voted for this lunatic. Okay? You can only blame yourself. The guy does not care about you. He's a prick. Anyway, this is Stuttering John saying goodbye.